Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Spann Report Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann, and this is episode number 61 of the report. And, yeah, man, I know the last time I talked to y'all, that shit sounded a little janky, didn't it? This sounded a little janky only because I'm new to this whole mixer shit and plugging in everything, but I'm gonna get this shit together. Trust and believe that. But on today's show, I got a longtime friend of mine, very accomplished brother, man. I'm excited to have this guy on the show, man. Author and playwright, Wendell Tucker, creator of I Used to Love Her, a stage play. I Still Love Her, stage play.
Right.
Hates the world, man. Tell everybody what's up, brother.
What's going on, people? I hope everyone is good and there's great spirits out there. We'll have a fun night tonight with Mr. Spann. Excited for this, man.
No problem, man. I appreciate having you on, man. I appreciate you saying yes, man. Before we get into everything, man, of course, I got to get the business out of the way, right? So I let everybody know how they can get in touch with me here at the Spann Report Podcast and let your voice be heard, of course. You can hit me up at the hotline. The hotline number is area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. I'll play those on the show and, of course, respond to those on the show as well. You can also email the show at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Leave those emails, and I'll respond to those as well here on the show. If you want to chop it up with your boy, man, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. My name is the same everywhere. It's Mr._Spann. So hit me up, follow me on both of those platforms. Let's chop it up there. And for all of your Spann Report needs, man, go to thespannreport.com. All of the old podcasts, all of the guest appearances that I've made, all of the Spann TV videos on YouTube, everything you need Spann Report related is right there at thespannreport.com. And, of course, you can listen to the Spann Report on iTunes and on Stitcher and on YouTube. So you ain't got no damn excuse to not listen to the show, man, really. And tell the folks how they can get in touch with you, Wendell.
Oh, man, the easiest way, search me by name. There's real name everywhere. So Facebook, Wendell Tucker. The official website is wendelltucker.com. On Twitter, you can get at me at Theory. Theori, just like the little logo thing you see over there, all right? Real simple. Love to talk to everyone, so reach out.
All right, man, all right. Now, of course, like I said, man, this is a longtime friend of mine. We went to high school together. And one of the things I wanted to do with this show, man, is to feature some of the people that I know are doing some pretty amazing things. And my brother Wendell here has produced 2 stage plays, and he's also been mentioned he's had an article written about him in the Huffington Post about one of his plays. But what I wanted to talk to you first about, brother, was I Still Love Her, man. What was the driving force behind the creation of that play?
The driving force was really seeing garbage plays. You see all these plays, and, you have people who don't know hip-hop who are trying to write a hip-hop play. And it really just doesn't work that way. And then you look on TV and you see, the violence and everything. They try to attribute that to hip-hop. So we come up with the idea, we are going to give hip-hop an opportunity to speak for itself. So they gave me about 6 weeks to come up with it, bring it all together at Chicago State. And we say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring hip-hop to life, put her on stage, and let her tell her own story.
Okay.
And in the midst of that, we're going to give the audience the concert of their dreams. So this is like one of the only places you'll go to a play and you're hearing Wu-Tang, you're hearing ODB, you're hearing Run DMC, you're hearing Hov, you're hearing everything right here and getting the real story of hip-hop.
Okay. Now, you said they gave you 6 weeks. It took you 6 weeks to bring that whole idea and that thought together?
Yeah, so when it happened, I just came back off tour. I was with Chicago State University's theater. And I just come back off tour, and I was directing the first play I ever directed, which was The Wiz. And I'm telling, the producer of the theater and the chairman of the department, we need to do a real hip-hop play. And he's like, all right, you slut. You're going on October 15th. don't make me disappointed in you. I'll kick your ass out of the school faster than you could drop out on your own. And I'm like, okay then, I did. So from the 6 weeks he gave me, I finished the script. I have been writing it for about 6 months. Finished the script, edited the cast it, blocked it, and put it up on stage. And it was probably one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I got it. But the second go around, we kind of got it right.
Okay. Now, you've gone touring with that particular play as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
What were you went to?
We performed at the National Black Theater Festival. And that was a special honor because another play that I helped write, I wrote the lyrics for another play. It's called My Black Hand. And my play, I Still Love Her, were there. So I was one of the only people there to have 2 plays being produced at this festival. And last year we did the DC Black Theater Festival. And again, I had 2 productions.
Okay. Now, first of all, like I said, like we went to the same high school and everything else. Did you always know that was something that you wanted to do, was to write, like stage plays or just plays in general? Was that something that you always thought of doing?
You know what? I thought of doing it when I was younger, but when we were in high school, I didn't want to be like a playwright. Remember, I wanted to write for Vibe. Like that was my dream job. I was the editor of the school newspaper and everything, and we put out our own little books. Like I wanted to write for Vibe. I actually got tricked into doing theater by one of my mutual friends, Hudson.
Okay.
And so one night he invites me to a rehearsal, and he's like, "Yeah, just come watch me rehearse," because he knows I love theater.
Okay.
And one of the guys who was supposed to be rehearsing doesn't show up. And so he was like, "Well, you come up here and read with us, help us out." So I go up there, I read the part to help out, and that was it. That was the arrangement. We get ready to leave, and the chairman once again, "You did a great job today, you slut. I want you to be back here tomorrow." Huh?
That really how he talks to you?
That's how he talks. And wait, this is where it gets crazy, right? He's like, "You be back here tomorrow. Don't you ever be late to one of my rehearsals or performances. God damn it."
Okay.
And it's like he didn't even give me a choice. So the next day I'm there and I'm on time. And from there, like literally since that day, I've been doing theater. So that's ever since like January of 2000. I've been doing theater ever since that day.
Oh, okay, sweet, bro, sweet. Now, are you ever surprised by the reception that you've gotten, like for I Still Love Her? Have you ever been surprised by the reception that it's gotten?
I have. And it's not so much about the reception. A show like this can't help to be good, because it's building upon the genius of a whole culture. So when you honestly build upon that genius, you can't help but to do good work. But what surprises me is the people that love it the most. And it's weird because I have like some days we'll have 50, 60-year-old white ladies who came there like together. They didn't bring kids, their husband didn't drag them out or nothing. They're there. And then we look out in the audience and we have old white ladies doing the Humpty dance. And afterwards, they walking up and hugging us like people. And you think if they would see us on the street, they probably clutch the purse, walk across the street, or at least keep a strong guy on us. You know what I'm saying? And they're walking up and they're hugging us and they're telling us how much they love the show and how much they love the music. And now they have a newfound appreciation for hip hop.
Yeah.
And we did that without having to water down our message.
Okay, now you said you had old white ladies in the crowd doing the Humpty dance. Okay, what venues have you played outside of the was it the National Black Theater Festival? What other played?
We done the Regal Theater, the Athenaeum Theater, the Viaduct, Chicago Center for Performing Arts, Chicago State University, Um, we're about to do a new venue over on the south side. It's called Trey's Banquet Hall, and this is a black-owned venue, which I, you know, love because I love black-owned businesses. So I'm really happy about that.
Pegasus player gave you a nod at all yet, bro?
No, they haven't, man. But you know what? I haven't even submitted to Pegasus yet.
Oh.
I haven't submitted to Pegasus. I don't know why I haven't, but I guess I should do that this year.
I'm surprised you hadn't from the beginning, man, because I remember some of our first theater experiences.
Yeah.
With the Pegasus players and going out to Truman College up on the north side of Chicago.
Yeah.
See some of those productions and some of the plays that were written by high school students being brought to life by the Pegasus players. So I'm surprised you hadn't done it before.
You know what? We did it in high school. I got an honorable mention when we did it in high school.
Yeah.
For a play we did. But since then, I hadn't really been involved. Like, most of what I've been trying to do is actually bring people, like really talented people in and just bring them into doing theater. So as far as like, getting the acclaim and going for the Jeff Awards and all that stuff, like that's something I would like, but it hasn't been the focus. But this is coming upon our 10th year anniversary.
Okay.
So this is 10 years we've been independently producing here in Chicago, which if anybody knows about the political climate in Chicago is amazing.
Oh, well. So, trust me, I know.
So this year we're going after awards, we're going after tours. Like this year we're going hard.
Okay. Now, because it's the 10th year anniversary, man, is there like an updated version of the show going on, or have you guys
There is.
Any new elements?
There is. Typically we keep the show updated, but this year for the 10th year, and I was just talking with my musical director. His name is Andre Dubois. He's the CEO of Reflective Music. We were just talking with him about it, and this year we're definitely doing a large-scale performance of I Still Love Her. We have a couple of different versions, small one, long one, and then what I like to call the double XL version, which is like a full 2-hour, 30-minute Broadway-style production of it.
Okay.
With extra mixes, special scenes that other people don't normally get to see. So this year we're doing it big, man.
Okay. Now, of course, I Still Love Her isn't the only thing that you put out. There was a production that you put out, Wendell Tucker Hates the World. And I've been reading Wendell Tucker Hates the World, man. Just reading it is really entertaining. You speak about a lot of your personal trials in Wendell Tucker Hates the World. How does and this is for folks who may be dealing with that particular, like, I know you spoke about dealing with depression, and you also spoke about like suicide attempt. Like, how therapeutic has that been? Like going through that whole creative process to put that on stage and to bare your soul, so to speak, for the world, man. How therapeutic has that been?
You know what? It's been amazing. I think that has helped me a little more than therapy has, to be honest. I think of it as a different kind of therapy. Because here's the deal, like when you're dealing with depression, and especially when you're dealing with something like, if you had a history of suicide attempts or self-harm, those things are done in the dark. That's not a public cry for help like a lot of people think. You know what I'm saying? This is a solitary moment between you and your perception of your life at this point. And so to take that and to put that out in front of everyone and be unapologetic about it, it gives you a sense of ownership that I don't think I ever would have had if I had not done this story. It still would have been eating me up from the inside had I not released it, And so to put this out and to share it, and then to get emails and tweets and, stop and pull aside after the show, and people tell me that, I felt this way too, and I've never told anyone about it. And now they have the strength to go and tell someone about it. It's empowering to know that you're not the only one.
Now, of course, like I said, man, we go way back. That was something about you that I didn't know. And I think a lot of folks, like you hear this a lot, man, when especially in our community, unfortunately, a lot we aren't necessarily honest with ourselves about mental health as it considers black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you will hear a lot of times, like folks will say for somebody who's suicidal or someone who has taken their life that they were being selfish, or like that was a weak way to that was weak of them to do that. For somebody who has been in that space, for what is that like? You know what I mean? Like,
it's insulting. It's insulting. Number one, it's insulting. Second, it's stupid. That is one of the stupidest things you could say is someone attempting suicide is the easy way out. By the very nature of human beings, every single thing we do is to preserve our life. We eat to stay alive. We exercise so we can stay alive. We shower so we don't die of our own funk. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything we do is to preserve our life. So you mean to tell me that somebody would think that's the easy way to get past a hardship is to kill yourself? No, that is the hardest thing in the world. That is the hardest thing. And that's not the first option either when a person is depressed. That's never the first option. That's the last option. That's what's happened after everyone around them has ignored the signs, after they've been belittled about the way they feel, when it starts to manifest erratically, when they can't figure out anything. That's after the weed, after the liquor, after the drugs, after the self-harm, after the reckless sex, after the bad relationships, after selling yourself short, after taking all these things. That's the step. It's a million indignities that a person has suffered on the way to that route. So to say that is asinine. And another thing that you touched upon is us not being honest about it. Not only are we dishonest about our mental health and our mental wellness, we applaud it.
Yeah.
We applaud it. That's the weird thing about, what can happen in our community. That nigga's crazy is a compliment somehow. You don't want to mess with me. My uncle crazy. That nigga just shot 8 people and ain't nobody called him yet. You know what I'm saying? We brag about it like that's a great thing to be crazy. Oh, I go 0 to 100 real quick. There is nothing good about going from 0 to 100 in an instant. You have people who literally are flashing on people and destroying their relationships. We can't talk. We can't. And then you go and applaud and embolden that behavior. You're literally championing their illness. That's sick. That's not an act of love. That's not how you love someone. Like, nowhere in the world, like, if someone had AIDS, you wouldn't be like, this the AZiest nigga in the world. Like, that's stupid. It doesn't work that way. So to hear things like, and to experience things like that, is disheartening and insulting. I would describe it as.
Yeah, like I said, they write up in the Huffington Post about when the fucker hates the world, and some of the feedback that you got off of even that article was negative.
Yeah.
Is it ever surprising to you, like as a content creator, someone who puts out, you basically put your life out there for people to kind of critique? Does it ever surprise you how, I don't know, how judgmental folks can be on just even a sliver of what it is that you're presenting?
You know what? It definitely surprised me. Like, one of the first comments was on there was like, I hope you starve to death, fat nigger. I'm like, whoa, hey, where does this come in? And, hijacking of causes.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of white people have down horribly. Like, you hear today, right, about, you see Black Lives Matter, then you see some white person jump in like, no, all lives matter. Like, what about us? Like, we know all lives matter, but we're talking about us right now. You know what I'm saying? And when I was doing that fast, I was doing the fast to raise awareness about depression among black people in our communities. This was something about us. And we had these people come in trying to hijack it like, well, all people suffer depression. And we're like, yeah, we know all people suffer depression, but your people get health care for it. They're not shutting down mental health care facilities in your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? We're not saying that you don't have it. Us not mentioning you doesn't mean that we don't understand that you exist.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about our issue. This is what needs to be focused on right now. And it's not to deflect from you. We're not saying that white people are unimportant. We're saying that black people are important. And we matter. Our mental wellness matters.
It is funny how like that whole Black Lives Matter became some sort of, for whatever reason, it wasn't as if it was excluding the fact that all lives matter. It's just like, hey, y'all do need to be reminded that Black Lives Matter also.
Yes, because you fucking forget.
What that hashtag even meant.
Like, clearly they forget.
That okay, we do too. That's what the whole thing was. It was a way in which it was a way in which to include us in the humanity of the world, so to speak.
Yes.
But for some reason, you know, folks felt the need. Like, you know, but it was funny. The Golden Globes, were just happened recently, and Common and John Legend won for best song on the movie Selma.
Yes.
And you know, it was interesting to hear Common's acceptance speech where he talked about being, you know, the cop that was, you know, gunned down, or the kid that needed a hand but got the bullet, or the woman who was, you know, trying to register to vote. It was interesting how he felt he had to include everybody in that, as opposed to just unapologetically saying, listen, we do matter. Of course you guys do, but we have to understand that y'all are forgetting that these other things are going on too. And it was just interesting to see him have to, or feel the need to, include everybody, you know, in that acceptance. It's politically correct, true enough, but I thought it was interesting to see that he felt the need to have to do that.
Well, I mean, that's the pressure of it, right? Because it's not only is blackness a threat to the institutionalized racism of America, but pro-blackness is not just a threat, it's almost seen as an attack. Mm-hmm. You know, it's that, oh my God, they're talking about uplifting black people. Does that mean that they want to drag down white people? You know, and I attribute it to like a relationship, right? So, you know, say you got your woman, right? You go out, you cheat on your woman. She takes you back. She still deals with you. But now you worried that she gonna cheat on you.
Yeah.
And somehow through this weird transference of responsibility, she becomes the hoe. Right? You've been the one that's out cheated, you've done wrong. You know, and then when she stands up for herself, now all of a sudden her standing up for herself is almost seen as an attack towards you. And it's the same thing, because they know the history of black and white relations in America. They know all the horrible stuff. Like, we ain't even got to go back to the 60s. We can go last week. You know what I'm saying? And that still's there. So it's like, okay, once they get fed up, what happens? Do they start coming after us? Are they going to try to do to us what we did to them? You know, and we have to deflate this.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that we have to appease to that, I guess, pathology, that pathology of thinking like you might victimize me because I victimized you, and we have to calm that down before we can say, hey, we don't want to be victimized anymore.
And I think that's pretty much what that is. And it was interesting also just a bit of a segue, even going back into that whole Golden Globes thing, where, I read this article, I believe it was in Salon.com.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about at the Golden Globes how, everyone who, basically in their acceptance of awards, they made sure to point out their solidarity with the Charlie Hebdo magazine in France. And of course, everyone by this point should know that there was a massacre there. I believe 12 people were killed during that, in result of a satirical comic about the Prophet Muhammad.
Uh-huh.
And how all of these acceptance speeches revolved around talking about their upholding of free speech and freedom of expression and everything else. And they made sure to show solidarity with that, and yet neglected to show solidarity with, say for instance, the massacre of over 2,000 in Nigeria by Boko Haram. And it goes into, I don't know, I know I might be rambling and shit right now. I might be scatterbrained and shit right now when it comes to this. But it was interesting to see how much they connected with that. And it was, again, all lives matter kind of moment, right? Like, okay, right. we really have to uphold this. Like, we want to parade, we want to champion freedom of speech, we want to champion freedom of expression. And yeah, those are all fine and good. But no one at that particular moment in time felt the need to express also the tragedies that happened in Nigeria. I don't even know why the hell. Like, I just rambled through that whole thing.
No, I mean, I get you. I feel because it's all connected, and that's part of that derailment, right? Whereas, as Black people, we're expected to empathize with all the other tragedies of the world, while tragedies that happen to us around the world, around people around the world, are ignored. Mm-hmm. You have 12 writers versus 2,000 poor Black people in Nigeria, versus, we don't even know how many Black people in America have been killed by police, races, like, we can't even count that, because they don't even document it.
No, not accurate. No.
They don't even document it here. So to see them say, oh, we empathize with these people who are over there, and when it's time for our free speech, the police come out dressed like Master Chief from Halo, and they got damn future weapons on our ass. They got sound cannons and lasers on our ass when we exercise our free speech.
Right.
It's crazy. When we march, it's those niggas that are tearing up their own community. Destruction and violence gets you nowhere. Let they people win a basketball game or a football game or a hockey game.
Trust and believe we were going there. I'm glad you said that, because it was and that's why I named this particular episode, man, good old fashioned hypocrisy, right? Because we saw that the unrest and the uprisings that were going on in Ferguson, Missouri earlier this summer, man, we saw that. And we also understood where that anger came from. Like, the system wasn't necessarily working in the favor of the people in which it was supposed to protect, right? And so you have not only just like the citizens of Ferguson, but you got a nation of people that are frustrated with how things are going. Like, you can kill a person unarmed in the streets and suffer really no consequences for it. As a matter of fact, the man has been paid pretty handsomely for his interview, and by folks donating monies to uphold him and everything else, basically for shooting and killing an unarmed Black kid, right? And so you see that, and you like, this is fucked up, and you want to, like, you there's rage there, right? There's rage there, right?
Yes,
and
it is.
You juxtapose that with, hey, we won a football game. Let's burn some shit up. And you have 89 fires and The police have to come out. You got 5,000 people out in the streets, man, tearing up shit, burning shit,
damaged cars, damaged looted stores.
everything, man, doing a little bit of everything. And the difference in how that was presented, you have black people are called thugs, and people are openly wondering what the hell is Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, and they're called thugs and looters, and true enough, some folks are out there doing beating asses and looting.
Yeah.
But then you have football fans called revelers as they burn shit, tear shit up, destroy property, and everything.
That's revelry. That's revelry. That's their form of entertainment. Revelry is engaging in entertainment. Their entertainment is to destroy shit. We march through the streets and chanted.
Yeah.
They got hit with stun guns and tear gas and bean bags and sonic cannons and water hoses, and folks got shot. They burned, literally set the city on fire. Nobody gets killed. But here's where the derailment where they had to understand the derailment of it. Because it's not just about black versus white. It's not just about a kid getting shot in Ferguson. It's about the fact that a kid can be 12 years old, sitting in the park, have a toy, have a BB gun, get shot within 1.2 seconds of a cop exiting a car. Meanwhile, a white dude can go and shoot up an entire movie theater and still be on trial today. It's the fact that any crime, when you're a person of color, a black person, a brown person, any crime or perceived crime can be punishable by death. And when you're white, you always have the right to a jury.
Not even just that, though. Like, even when said white person goes to trial for the death of you become the defendant. We saw that with Trayvon Martin. We saw that with Jordan Davis. We saw that with Nisha McBride, where the actions, or even not even the actions of that night, where they start going into your whole social media,
into your past,
and start trying to figure out ways to criminalize you in that particular moment. Well, he got suspended from school 2 years ago for smoking weed. I don't know, man. Sometimes you just gotta shoot a nigga. I don't know.
He took a picture, twisted his fingers.
I mean, it was a case here in Michigan, man. It was actually two women that were killed on the east side of Detroit, right? One's white, one was black. The white girl, some folks were speculating that she was on the east side of Detroit trying to buy drugs. It was late at night, it was dark, she's on the east side of Detroit. What the hell is she doing there? Some people were speculating that she was buying drugs. Then there was another story about a young black woman who was also killed on the east side of Detroit. Both of them had their story put on the news, and it was interesting how, like, the story was presented with the young white girl, how they start talking about her dreams. She dreamed of being a doctor. She dreamed of being a doctor. Some anonymous donor put up $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and capture of the person who was responsible for killing this woman. Right. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, this sister, she gets killed needlessly on the east side of Detroit, and of course her people aren't as affluent as this other woman. So there is no $100,000 reward set out for the arrest and capture of the person responsible for her death. But it was interesting just seeing that, knowing like, okay, once this person dies, we understand that, yeah, there was a young person and they had a whole hell of a lot of life in front of them. But just seeing how we talked about her dreams. She wanted to be a doctor, and we never heard any of that shit when it came to Trayvon Martin. All we heard was, hey man, he was smoking weed, he was beating the hell out of George Zimmerman. He had to do what he had to do.
Let me tell you about this motherfucker George Zimmerman. Has been arrested for violent acts at least 6 times. 3 times against police.
He was just arrested?
Yeah, and he lives. And it's not just, and I'm not just holding the police accountable for this anymore. Because when you have issues like you just said, now the news editors become accountable. The actual online anchors, they become accountable. Anytime that you are actively engaging in the, I guess, social slander of black people, when they're the victims, it's just past victim blaming. Now you're making the victim into the villain.
Yeah.
You're empowering those people who are going to keep on making those acts. Like, no newscaster should ever allow an editor or producer or whoever make them utter those type of words or give that type of slanted things. That's irresponsible. That's irresponsible, and you're contributing to the deaths of young people out here. Whenever a person is killed, whenever a person, especially an unarmed child, is killed, they should never, ever end up on trial for their own murder. They should never, ever, and I don't care if you're a news person and you don't really feel that way and you don't agree with it and you're just doing your job. If you do it, you are emboldening them. You are championing that side. And it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Like the Nancy Graces and of the world, they disgust me. It's revolting. And as an entertainer, and someone who wants to have a voice, and to see that these are the voices that are being allowed out there, it's sickening. It really is. I don't know how many times I prayed to trade, Don Lemon for Trayvon. I did. I did. I tried to make a bargain. Lord, give us back Trayvon. You can have Don Lemon. Matter of fact, we'll give you OJ and Don Lemon for Trayvon. All right, like it's so disheartening, and you have a lot of entertainers now, and they're making they're telling their stories and they're making their quips and everything, and you have some people who deal with it through humor and just have to find some kind of way to smile through it, because it weighs on you that much. It weighs on you that much to know that every time you look at a cop, regardless if you're doing right, regardless if you're doing wrong, regardless if you paid your taxes, all your papers is good, you still could get shot that day.
Indeed.
Plus,
it really doesn't take a whole hell of a lot, man.
No.
But going back into the whole, we talked a little bit about this earlier, man, the massacre that happened in France and Charlie Hebdo magazine. Barack Obama he didn't call a lot of flack for whatever reason, not sending any senior White House officials to France, in their solidarity march. Isn't it fun? Like I found this interesting, how not even 7-8 years ago, a lot of these folks who were calling for President Obama to send White House personnel or for himself to go out to France and to march in this solidarity march weren't even liking France 7 or 8 years ago. I remember we were starting to call French fries
freedom fries
because we were at odds with we didn't particularly like how France was approaching our war on terror. So like what do you think about that, man? What what do you think about some of the damn if you do, damn if you don't that the president has to go through when it comes to
you know what, man? It's when you're a black man. You gotta understand. You're held to a whole different standard in America as a black man. And being the first black president, oh my God. He can't do right by nobody. He can't do right by black folks. Black folks say he ain't doing enough for them. White people say he doing too much and he ain't being presidential enough whenever he touches down on our issues. Like, he's in a no-win situation at all times. At all times. And no matter what he does, he's going to be like criticized for it. As far as sending somebody to France, so no, for what? They have their leadership over there. They have their leadership. They are good. No, Obama, if he sent someone to France and he didn't send anyone to Nigeria, I'd be pissed because we ain't hear none of these talking heads saying, well, where is the delegation going to Nigeria?
Oh, we have.
No, where is the SEAL Team 6 for Boko Haram?
That was the thing that was the most interesting to me. Like, and I was watching CNN. I try to watch as much news as I possibly can. I'm watching CNN. I'm watching MSNBC. I'm even watching a little bit of Fox News. And some of the news that or the way that it was being reported was that they were waiting for the Nigerian government to kind of allow them to intervene in what's going on with Boko Haram and everything else. It was funny. I was like, well, damn, I don't particularly remember SEAL Team 6 needing the Pakistani government's okay to go in there and get bin Laden. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
at what point, man, do
we embrace reality? What point do we embrace reality, bro?
I guess you could say embrace reality, but I'm more so talking about like embrace the factor, or I guess start holding our news organizations accountable. You know what I mean? Because
because you can't have. Here's the problem with it though, and here's where like we're between a rock and a hard place. If we start holding the news, how do we hold them accountable? The public would have to do that.
Well, that's the thing, and I think as an independent, like. I could even include myself in this as somebody as an independent content creator, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, as someone who as someone who desires to speak to the public in a frank way. I think that's the thing. To not bullshit the public, so to speak. I think a lot of it is because we've gotten to a point where folks live in their own bubbles, right? And you can, in this day and age right now, you can listen to the news that agrees with everything you think is right, right? So if I'm talking about a subject, say for instance, Barack Obama proposed free community college to everybody who's willing to afford it, right?
Yes.
I can talk about that, right? And I can go to a news. I don't particularly agree with that. I don't particularly agree that everybody deserves a free college education at community college. I don't believe anybody deserves that shit, right? So I can go to an area that calls itself a news outlet, and I can listen to everybody shoot down why this is a bad idea, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, I can also go to a news organization that trumpets this idea as the best shit since sliced bread. So because we have this news media now that's, you know, I guess taste driven, people are able to encompass themselves in their own bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody listens to an idea that's contrary to what it is they believe or contrary to whatever agenda that they want to push. They can always put themselves in the bubble and feel safe in that bubble. And so when it comes to a situation like, you know, holding our news forces accountable, even though that's something I believe that needs to happen, I don't really believe it's realistic for it to happen because of the fact that there's, you know, folks aren't willing to take themselves outside of that bubble.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? One, we dealt with a complete shift in the way news is delivered now. News used to be an informative format. News is now an entertainment format, and anybody that tells you otherwise is full of shit. Because every station now, every news program is moving more towards punditry and interpreting the news for you. Anytime they start interpreting the news for you, now you're moving out of the part of information to entertainment. You know, so one thing is I think news shows have to start being better delegated. You know, you have to be able to denotate what's news and what's entertainment. You know, no reason in the world why Bill O'Reilly should be considered news. To be honest, no reason in the world why anything that comes on Fox News should be called news. But that's my opinion, right?
You know what's funny though? You know what's funny is that I think sometimes depending, I think like the local affiliates offer genuine news. Like I watch Fox 2 News here in Detroit. I think they present genuine news, and they even have a segment called Let It Rip. I'm pretty sure they probably have that on all of their Fox affiliates in other locations. But they have a segment called Let It Rip where they bring in local community activists or just the principal players in a big news story in the community, and they actually just sit around and they talk the shit. They talk shit about what it is. That's big. You hear an echo?
No, I was talking to. I got my partner in crime, Jeremy Noah here. He's actually the vice president of my company, so he was asking why I was using the headset.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, but I was saying though, we have to kind of separate the Fox News, cable news aspect, I think, away from the local affiliates, because I think a lot of local affiliates do a pretty good independent job of staying away from that politicization of the news. But yeah, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, some of it varies. It does vary. But anytime we talk about cable news, like that 24-hour news cycle, it's become ridiculous. And the thing is, the government can't do anything about it, because once they do something about it, now they're infringing on freedom of speech. So they can't do anything about that. It's the public's responsibility. And one thing that Americans are getting away from that I don't like is the responsibility of citizenship. The responsibility of citizenship as far as holding our media accountable, holding our government, and not just the president, but holding our senators, our representatives, our city councilmen, holding everyone responsible. Like, you can't just keep letting these people escape with this stuff. Turn it off. Turn it off. Like, sorority sisters, prime example. There's this show on VH1, Sorority Sisters, and it just got canceled because people say, I'm not going to watch this. They rebelled against it, one, and two, they turned it off. We love to hate watch things. Yeah. And when we hate watch it, we're still contributing to the ratings. We're still contributing to the advertisers. So we have to be responsible citizens for the media that we receive. And the only way to do that is to turn it off.
Now, how did you feel about Sorority Sisters? Because I actually did watch Sorority Sisters. I thought it was entertaining, but I had no dog in the fight. You know what I'm saying? Right. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I think is quite interesting, is that, of course, we know Viacom owns VH1. Also know Viacom owns BET.
Yes.
It was interesting to see, like, a lot of the shows, like a Love and Hip Hop or a Sorority Sisters, they use sororities from the Divine Nine. Like, these are shows that you would think would have been geared towards a BET audience. But BET would have caught all sorts of shit for having these shows. The VH1 gets away with having these shows. Like, folks love these shows, but if if BET had these shows on their airways, they would have caught a whole hell of a lot of shit. I mean, you think about what happened with Hot Ghetto Mess when they did that shit back in the day.
Yeah. You remember? All right. So I know you've heard this term. This term is called thoughts, right?
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard.
Right. You came up with a new term.
Yeah. Those hoes over there.
Tonights.
Okay. Those
niggas over there, right? And here's the funny thing about Black America, right? Black America loves to talk about inclusion, but we never ever want to be like those niggas over there. And as far as media outlets, BET, regardless of what BET does, is going to be considered those niggas over there, right? So it's cool for VH1 to do it because VH1, that's association by proxy. That's, the white station that has reality TV, and that's their thing. It's a black station, and they do it now. They're ignorant. They're this, they're that, when it's us doing it, when we're controlling our own mockeries. I didn't give a shit about sorority sisters. Because for me to sit up there and complain about sorority sisters, I gotta complain about literally every single reality show about black people on TV. I gotta hate them all. And for me,
I do.
And for most of the people, my man say I do. And for people to come out and rally against sorority sisters because they were denied and not stand up for the non-denied people who are being mocked every day with all the other shows, I call bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit up there and argue for power to the people when it's just the people that you affiliate with. And you gonna leave the rest of the niggas hanging. Those niggas over there. We worry about these niggas over here. Like, I mean, it's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy at its finest.
That's not how any of this works.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. So, like I said, man, like I watch a lot of that shit, man. Like, and it's a guilty pleasure for me, dude. Honestly, like I don't get into the whole respectability politics of a lot of that shit, man. I'll watch it only because of course, man, I'm a content producer. I watch it. And I watch it so I can judge these motherfuckers, really. And I think that's pretty much why everybody watches this shit. Like, hey, man, these motherfuckers on TV acting the goddamn fool. Hey, man, you see this retarded shit this motherfucker just did? That's pretty much. But you know what? As a content producer yourself, right? And we were talking a little bit briefly before we got on air about the unsatisfaction that a lot of folks have with the perception of black folks in media, right? Mm-hmm. So you get a protest on a show like Sorority Sisters. You'll get criticisms about a show like Empire, who's only two episodes in, and folks are already, kind of shooting Empire down. You'll get people who hadn't seen an episode of Black-ish tear that shit down. Who haven't seen 12 Years a Slave or Django and say that they're just tired of seeing slave movies, but at the same time they were tired of seeing hood movies. They were, it's so many different things, man. Is there ever a point, like for you, say for instance, is there ever a point where you just like, man, there's just no satisfying, there's no satisfying my audience no matter what it is I do?
You can't satisfy everybody. You really can't. You can't satisfy everybody. And especially like when you come from, and this is going to give me a lot of flack, and I really don't give a shit, but whatever. You come from a culture of institutionalized self-victimization, where you have a culture of people that have seen themselves as victims for a very, very long time. And that's not to say that black people are victims. That's not to say that. It's saying that with all the injustice that's been heaped upon us, we become very, very comfortable with decrying that injustice, even anticipating that injustice, which is like what happened with Blackish, right? They anticipated that this would be a cool show, when really it's one of the most intelligent black shows that we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, it's real smart comedy, man. I love every episode of it so far.
Yeah, and the other side of it is that we can't just say we only want positive things on TV. We can't just say we only want positive things on TV if we're not going to get out there and support the producers, the independent black producers who are telling our stories. If we're not going to go out there, we're not going to support the, small businesses, the small companies, the local companies that are sitting up here creating content for you. Like, what do you expect? There's this great web show I used to love. It was called The Adventures of the Awkward Black Girl. I loved this show, right? Loved it. And I try to put a couple of people onto it, and they're like, man, I'm not watching that. And then next thing you know, they tuned in for Love and Hip Hop and for Real Housewives of Atlanta and stuff. I'm like, okay, why are you tuning in for this and not for that? Like, you have the power. Black people have the power, and you can choose what content you want. You have to be willing, though, to make that effort to go get it. And it's not like it was in the 80s where you had to go to a record store, you had to go out and find a bootleg, man. You had to go to a farmer's market or something like that to get black content. Yeah. We all got smartphones. We got Google. It is nothing to do a quick Google search for black producers, black playwrights, and just click and see. Just click and see. Give it a shot, you know? But you don't have to sit up there and wait for what some white suit in an office is decide that this is what I'm going to offer you as entertainment. Yeah. You're appropriating yourself.
Pretty much. And it's funny, man. Like I said, just watching, like, I deal in social media a lot, man. I'm on Facebook quite a bit. And when you start just sifting through, like, after a while, you just kind of have to sit back and watch the landscape. And then you start the constant complaints come in. I remember when 12 Years a Slave, great movie, unflinching in its depiction of how things work. And, you saw so many people talk about, man, I'm tired of all these slave movies, man. Why can't they show me? I mean, we were more than slaves and everything else. Like, true that, we were. But for a long time, we were talking about how there weren't any movies that showed how it really was when we were brought here to America, right? And then you look at a show like Empire, and it was a meme that was flying around talking about how they got a black woman that's belittling black men, and they make sure black men kill somebody, and they make sure that we do this, and
I seen it.
It was like, but that's how fucking soap opera works. Have you ever seen a soap opera? Like, have you ever watched fucking Dynasty or fucking or any of these things, man? Like, these things aren't exclusive to black people. Now, of course, before your argument was there was no shows with an all-black cast. Now you got a black cast and you bitching about, well, why they got to be doing this? Like, because it's a goddamn soap. This is what happens in soap operas. And so it gets to a point, man, after a while, where you're just like, honestly, it's a lot of motherfuckers who trying to pretend that they're better than this shit going on, really just being assholes, pointing fingers like, man, I could have did better. And they're not really at all.
And if you think you can do better, I love Kanye, love Jay-Z. Kanye got my favorite line. If you can do it better than me, then you do it. Like, get out there and create. Take the power in your own hands. You can at least grab a camera and shoot a viral. Get out there and create. Don't be afraid. If you feel that the ideas that you have in your head are better than what you're seeing on TV, don't be afraid to be a creator. We know our people are some of the most creative people on the planet. Black Twitter, and yes, Black Twitter has the funniest people in the world. To be honest, I don't know why half these people aren't comics.
Not only that, man, they quick about the shit. Have you ever seen like something happen, right? Like, it just happened on TV, not even 10 seconds, and then you look up, it's already a fucking meme up, ready to go.
Temecula.
Flying on Twitter, man, and then it makes its way to Instagram, and it makes its way to Facebook and everything else. But dude, they are on it like as soon as the shit happens. Like, god damn, I ain't even that fast on my phone.
Right, and they're on it. And so we have content creators. We have content creators, but what we need are focused content creators who are interested in reshaping the industry. Like, my lane is theater. You know what I'm saying? That's my lane. My lane is theater, and very soon I'm going to be launching the film division of Theory Stages, and we're going to get into film. Okay. Right? That's my lane. And I'm trying to create new content in that. Because, to be honest, I get sick of seeing these Chitlin Circuit plays starring these washed-up R&B singers. I'm sick. I'm just saying. These washed-up R&B singers.
Plays that spell mama the wrong way.
Plays that can't spell mama. Any play with mama in the title. Plays with men mocking our grandmothers and our matriarchs.
Yeah.
wearing dresses and acting up, doing all this ignorant and belligerence. Like, yeah, my grandma was ignorant, but my grandma was also a loving and intelligent person. You know, and we can't keep having these one-sided perceptions. And once you understand what's going on, you have two choices: create or support. Create or support. So one, when you see somebody creating something, support them. If you don't want to support them, that's fine. You don't have to. Create something.
Yeah.
If you're not creating or supporting, I don't really want to hear your argument. Because at that point, you're just talking. I really don't want to hear it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, man.
It goes to all you internet revolutionists.
Oh my God. My man said, the same goes to all the internet revolutionaries.
You know what? You know, honestly though, it's funny. You know, there was a time though where I was very cynical about that.
Uh-huh.
There was a time where I was real cynical about that, where I thought that, like, you know, it was always a rush to seem like you cared more than the next person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, after a little while, man, I started to kind of see that because of some of these what we would deem internet revolutionaries, that a lot of shit that wasn't given attention were made to get, like, it forced mainstream media to kind of focus on what it is these folks are talking about, and that I didn't understand that in the beginning. You know, and I used to kind of go in on that shit too. But I kind of understand it to a point now where, had it not been for social media, I don't know how fast or if we would have ever heard of Tamir Rice or Eric Garner or.
Well, you know what? I love that. Don't stop there. Don't stop there. Because that's the easy part. It's really easy to hit a retweet. It's really easy to post a hashtag. It's really easy to spell all your feelings in 140 characters. That's the easy part. The hard part is where the real change happens. And the real change happens when we see people like we saw, like those beautiful people we saw down in Ferguson, and the beautiful people that we see marching in the streets. That's where the real change happens. But then we have to take it past marching, and we have to get to the really hard work, which is creating our own lobbies, getting our people into office. I don't know why Black Twitter hasn't created a national Black Twitter voting campaign where we create our own slate, right? Because it's not like we don't all know each other, right? We create our own slate of candidates, and we form our own party, and we vote these people in the office, because we can vote for a president. A president is always going to be limited by its Congress.
Not only that, you know, when we talk about the politics of it, you know, I think, you know, for the most part, it boils down to the education of who the candidates are. And I always tell people this, man, like, you know, folks always talk about what President Obama is supposed to do, or what Obama hasn't done enough for Black people. That are a lot. But for the most part, the people that are more aligned to what it is that affects you on the day-to-day, President Obama ain't one of them. You know, man, your student council members, your school board members, you know, those folks affect you more on a day-to-day basis than anything that President Obama can legislate from the White House. So I think for us, you know, politically, is to get folks involved locally. If you can get involved in their politics locally, you've done a pretty damn good job, because we can't get lost in the whole the national argument of you know, what Obama gonna do, because Obama ain't gonna save you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's been
save us, Obama.
It's been 6 years, man, and I think a lot of folks, they voted for Obama thinking that a whole hell of a lot of shit was gonna change. No, it was gonna take shit on the level to bring the sort of change that a lot of folks were thinking that was gonna happen.
Let me be honest. Like, when I saw we had a Black president coming, I just knew this was our time. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking, like, and I know it's almost a racist thing to say, but I was thinking like Planet of the Apes type revolution, where like we take over the world. Like, I was amped for it. I'm like, yo, this is gonna be great. We gonna get a black. We gonna have Method Man in the White House. You know what I'm saying? My President Obama, he go see somebody come in and do something. Obama go fly in a black jet and smack the shit out of him. Like, and we wanted that. And then we had to snatch a reality, right? And realize that Obama wasn't about to be, he wasn't about to be Jim Kelly. He wasn't about to be Black Dynamite in office. You know what I'm saying?
Know why?
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. Like, I was looking forward. I got racist with it. I tell the God honest truth. I got racist with it for a second. I had to snap back to reality because I thought I was going to have go buy me a white kid and make up for the Angelina Jolies. But that's not how it works. The reality of it is we need to get in step with all forms of our society. We can't keep treating ourselves like outsiders. We have to get on the inside of everything. And that's the inside of our government, the inside of our media, the inside of our police, all of it, business, everything.
Well, I think to a point now, man, because of where we are with the technology, I don't even necessarily think that we need to get on the inside of the media, so to speak. I think what we really do, like as an independent, as someone who's in independent media, right? Education of other sources for folks is what we really do need to kind of focus on. Like, you know what, there is an alternative to what it is that you say you're tired of.
Yes.
I think a lot of folks are just kind of they're locked into what they're used to. I can turn on my radio and this is on. Or I can turn on my television and this is on, and it doesn't take a whole hell of a lot of effort in order for them to get that information that way. But when you talk about, you want to hear this, but you're going to have to go ahead and put a Google search in and look for this guy, or go in and put a Google search in, or go on your phone and do this, and you can listen to this. It's like a lot of folks, honestly, ain't really willing to even put in that level of work. You know what I mean? So I think for the most part, man, I think education of the alternative is what's needed for a lot of people, man. A lot of folks just simply don't know there are alternatives to what it is that they have. They just don't know it yet.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I can definitely gel with that. For me, why I want people to want us to get on the inside of it, because at the end of the day, we're going to have our alternatives, and those are going to be the alternatives. But we also need a major machine of our own. We need this, that, and the other. And I'm always for, like, I'm never an either or person. I like this, that, and the other. Because what's going to be entertainment for me may not be entertainment for you. And you are absolutely justified in having your brand of entertainment. However, once we started wanting to compete with the mainstream, and want to make sure that our mainstream image is projected in the way that we want and that we feel accurately represents Black America as a whole, we have to take that big step and start that big machine working where we're creating and distributing our content on a large-scale, professional, mainstream level.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, I kind of feel like it doesn't necessarily have to be an and or. It could be and or and. Like and or
I like that. And or and.
And or and. Like, you know what? I can listen to this, and I can listen to this, but there's this other option as well. I think a lot of times we find ourselves putting ourselves in these false, these false ulteriors or
ultimatums,
stuff like that, where it has to be this or that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. I think some of the most well-rounded shit or the most well-rounded people get their information from a various amount of sources. I can listen to an MSNBC, I can watch MSNBC, and I can watch CNN, and I can watch Fox News, and then I can take the information that I got from all three of those sources and form my own opinion around all of the perspectives that have been given to me. I think for the most part, folks ain't trying to do that though. They looking like, hey man, this is what I think. I need a motherfucker that's gonna tell me the exact same thing I'm already thinking. And that's
to the base.
that's pretty much what it's boiled down to. Like we talked about bubbles earlier. That's pretty much where everyone is at right now. We're like pretty much encons themselves in these bubbles and not really have to worry about an ulterior thought or an alternative thought to how they think, man.
I'll tell you right now, the bubble that I'm in right now is creating those alternative thoughts, creating those alternative words. That's why I chose, to write about and deal with plays doing with mental wellness for black people because we handle it different.
Yeah.
That's not something we chop up a lot. That's why I chose to write shows about the history of our music and not just, the old stuff, but our contemporary history. Because we get that musical education and that it stopped with, ragtime. It stopped with jazz, and there's a whole history that's been there. I have another show coming out soon. It's called Slow Jams.
Okay. And
it's experimental show. And we know black people don't do a lot of experimental theater. But this is an experimental show that examines the ideas of romance, seduction, and puts it against the backdrop of R&B.
Okay.
And the themes of romance and love in R&B. And I feel meshing things like that together, that gives us one of those bubble type things where we can get a different input, we can get a different view, and still have our regular stuff that we're looking at,
what's funny? Like, are you using 90s R&B, man? Because, ain't been on real good R&B since the 90s, man.
I am a 90s R&B guy, man. I can't help it. I love it. Like, it's been a couple. Most
of our R&B singers now trying to be rappers, and most of the rappers is like trying
to be R&B. Yeah. Like, one of my best friends in the world, Andre Dubois. I told you about him earlier. He has his label. It's called Reflective Music, right? And I swear, this is the best thing in the world for me, right? Because now some of my favorite musicians are like my closest friends.
Okay.
Like, he has this sister, Ashley Lachelle. This girl has a voice out of this world. And they're making like soul music. This isn't just R&B. This is soul music. You know what I'm saying? It's not, auto-tuned out and, throwing mustard on the beat hole and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is a love song. It's not, I love you, so let me put it in your butt, you know what I'm saying? You go get this done tonight, girl. You know what I'm saying? No, this is soul music. Like, you got these MCs, Mr. Talented, D2G. Like, these cats are bringing soul hip-hop. Remember when you heard somebody rap and they said something, you're like, oh, my God. You holding your head and your face get ugly when you hear the music. Like, everybody's turning to Shabba Ranks when they hear this lyrics. Like, that kind of stuff. It is, once again, like you said, going out and going beyond what's being spoon-fed to you. Go get those alternatives. When somebody give you their mixtape, don't block them. Check it out. You might hear some of the dopest shit you ever seen. Now, a lot of mixtapes trash. I'm going to tell y'all now, a lot of y'all mixtapes trash. But at least give it a try.
Yeah, man. But you know what, bro? I think it's coming up to the end of our time, man. But before we get out of here, let the folks know what it is you're doing and how they can get in touch with you over at Theory Stages, brother.
Okay, here's the deal. My show, one-man show, Wendell Tucker Hates the World. Comedic show. It's hilarious. It's heartbreaking. Like, literally, you gonna laugh and you gonna cry in the show. And everybody tell you that, but it's gonna happen. And you gonna get fed too. There's gonna be food. This is dinner theater. All right. There will be chicken, and I believe there might be steak. Okay. This is going on in Chicago, January 30th at 7 p.m. You can get tickets at WendellTucker.com. You can look us up, see clips of I Still Love Her, on YouTube. Just look up Theory Stages. It pops right up. Get at us. We love to meet new people. We love to build with people. We're working on the national tour, so if you're interested in booking either of our shows, I Still Love Her, Wendell Tucker Hates the World, and soon Slow Jam, you can also do that booking at either thetheory.com or wendelltucker.com, and you can send those inquiries through. So yeah, please check us out. If you're in Chicago on the 30th, come to the show. It's gonna blow your mind. I promise you've seen nothing like it.
All right, man. All right, cool. Yeah, man, I really do appreciate you, Wendell, coming through, man, and sharing with us, man.
Thank you, brother.
Indeed, indeed. Of course, before we get out of here, again, I gotta let y'all know how y'all can get at us here at the Spann Report Podcast and let your voice be heard. Again, you can hit me up at the voicemail at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemails. I'll play those on the show and, of course, respond to you guys here on the show as well. And eventually, we're going to have that live phone line popping off. So be on the lookout for that. Also, you can hit me up at the email. Send those emails in at feedback@thespanreport.com. Leave those emails. I'll read and respond to those here on the show. Chop it up with your boy on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So check those out. Chop it up with me there. And, of course, for everything you need, Spann Report, thespanreport.com. Go there. Leave me leave a comment on an episode. Go and check out a YouTube video. Go on there and check out all the guest appearances that I've made on other shows, man. Go to thespanreport.com for all of your Spann Report needs. And go on iTunes and Stitcher and leave your boy a review. I don't care what star you give it. Give me a review. Let me know what you're thinking about the show, man. And if it's 5 stars, I'll talk about the shit on the show. All right? So, yeah, man, that's all we got for y'all today, man. But until next time, fam, peace.